too. Wow. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are on 5.8 ASBA report. So I did not, my report is there, but I'll just touch on a few things. I did not go to the last meeting. Trustee Tugwood was my alternate, so she attended. So thank you very much, Donna. So I will read off some notes here from Trustee Tugwood, and then some of them might be in my report or might not be. And then I also went to the ASBA provincial meeting. I had an orientation and I filled in as an alternate director. So anyhow, there was a lot of discussion about should school boards take a position on holding back on the new curriculum. But I guess there was a motion that was passed to delay the implementation of the new curriculum. So I did have some feedback from Charlie on this, and we had feedback from staff that they were not in favor because it's a pilot year. So everybody is just making that choice on their own, whether they want to go forward with that or not. And everybody has been waiting for a long time for that new curriculum. So our staff was in favor of going forward. So Donna, you did not vote on it. So that's fine. That was the perfect thing for you to do. And I'm sorry I didn't get that information to you in time, but we will have opportunity to express our how we stand on that in different ways. So we'll go forward with that.
Michelle, just important
Yes.
to say the motion was just about implementation. It wasn't about getting the information and deciding on it. It was just about implementing it.
Implementation, right. Okay. There was concern about IMR funding and if it would if there would be an issue with CMR funding. So just wondering, does admin have any comments on that? Is there any questions about CMR and IMR funding? We're still getting what we expected.
Charlie, you're muted.
Does Charlie have a comment or?
Sorry, I was just talking with Kim here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's in the.
Oh yeah, she's coming on now. Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that there seems to be some messaging coming out of the province that they are starting to tie CMR to the old IMR. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if that meant that the language is starting to change from what we first heard. So I'm not sure whether everything is still in flux provincially in terms of their budget, but I know there was some concern raised through ASBOA as far as what is happening with CMR and what are the implications for IMR as we're kind of submitted one set of projects, and then how does that impact what we would normally be using IMR for? Not anticipating we're going to get everything we asked for in the CMR either.
Right. Yeah.
So, but if they start to morph them and join them, then there is certainly there's becoming some concern that they are looking at tying the two together in some way. So I'm not sure if we'll get less at the end for our IMR.
Yeah. So that was a concern. Then we kind of lose our ability to put money where we see fit, right, in our division. So anyhow, that is on ASBA conversation.
Madam Chair, yes, if I may ask, so what you're saying is robbing Peter to pay Paul, pretty much?
Well, I'm not sure if it's robbing Peter to pay Paul, but it's telling Peter he's getting 45 cents and then telling Paul that he's getting 5 cents and that they're actually sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just remember these things when we come to our MLA meeting or conversation, you know, how we're going to have that conversation. February 8th will be a PD for all trustees, and that I believe that's on my report. So that's a PD date coming up. The Learning Center, there's more resources, and there's also a link for superintendents. I guess there was some concern about I don't know if we have any of this happening, but teachers who, parents or guardians are recording some of the teaching or some of the interviews. I don't know, is there anything that, have we had any of those situations, or is that how would we handle that if a parent was recording something, online schooling or interviews or whatever?
We have had situations where there's been inappropriate behavior, I guess. We've addressed those individually with those either students, and I'd say most of it has been students. But I mean, that is the risk when you put something online, that anybody can record it at any time.
Okay, so that's what the advice that we're giving our staff is, that is up to the parent or the guardian. If they're doing that, they have that right.
Sorry, they have the right to
Record.
No.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about that. So anyhow, that's a conversation that was had at Zone 2-3.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trustee Eflon.
Madam Chair, parents don't have the right to record. They need to gain permission. This is pretty much a FOIP issue, right? But we have to encourage our teachers, especially as to when they are there, the potential is there, right, that they will be recorded, and that appropriate material and the right, whatever it's been, because, you know, you and I have dealt with an individual from the left wing. You never know. You have some of all of these people. And I didn't know, even virtually with us at work, yeah, some people are recording, but they don't have to, because anybody recording anybody recording a conversation have to notify the other person.
Yes,
That is
that's
pretty
what I was
much,
saying. Right.
yes,
So
that
that's
is
how our
pretty
staff
much-
are advised, correct?
exactly. Yeah, they need to be advised, I'm going to be recording you, and you give your permission, or you say, no, I'm done with this conversation. Yes.
Okay, Trustee Sirwa?
Yes, Madam Chair. So you're not allowed to record. You're not allowed to do that unless you have permission, the parent?
Yes, of the other person. Yep.
Okay. I was just wondering, I wasn't sure. Thank you.
You always, yeah, to record anything, you need the permission of the other party.
Okay. Just a comment about the FGM speaker. So there was some social media comments or some comments by other boards about the cost of that event. Basically, the FGM would cost a lot less for everybody. And the ASBA board, they looked at it as, you know, in per person PD. So basically $100 per trustee is very affordable PD, I guess, is how they looked at the cost of that speaker. And the executive and the CEO, they're always looking for the optimum ways for trustees to get that kind of those kind of presentations or speakers or inspirations, and those people that are leaders. So anyhow, I just wanted to point that out. And Trustee Tugwood is on the Edwin Park Committee, so your meetings are scheduled. The Honoring Spirit Awards are open now, so those are available for schools to nominate their students. I'll just report a little bit on the ASBA provincial meeting that I went to. So the first day that we did have an orientation, and it was very good about what my role is as a backup or alternate. We had a presentation by Paul McLaughlin, political analysis, and always very interesting. Fiduciary duties as a director. And then the next speaker, he was Dr. Lloyd Steer, I think. He's from, I don't know a lot about him, but he talked a lot about change and how we have to be adaptive. And it was very good because we have gone through so much change, and we have to be open to change, especially going through how many times we had to pivot, right? And especially staff and our admin. So anyhow, it was very good just to be open to change. And some things are never going to go back. It's just the way it is. And we have to be open to being the most effective in change. So I might have some a slide presentation from him that I'll be able to share with trustees. So I just haven't been able to really put all of that together yet. The executive, ASBA executive, they did meet with the minister yesterday, I guess. And I'll just go over through the agenda items that they talked about. The MELT program, the motions from the FGM, reserves, just touching on reserves on how government is going to look at those reserves, how we are using our reserves in light of that Bill 5 that passed in the spring. Pandemic recovery. It appears that in the bigger centers, a lot of staff are actually doing tracing now. Alberta Health Services, I mean, it's just overwhelming, the whole situation. I know at my work, we did our own tracing as well. So again, how is Alberta Health Services able to support tracing better? Rapid testing, the testing app, if we are ever going to use the national app, I guess so. How vaccines are going to roll out at the school level. Bargaining was a topic. When we do have to change scenario, 3 days or 4 days is not enough. I guess the bigger school boards, school divisions, they definitely needed more notice for making that change. They also are going to request the in-school transmission data at the metro level. So again, at the metro level, they just have so much more to deal with, so many more cases, so many more issues. So they want to know those in-school transmission data. The COVID response committee at the government level, the cabinet level, Minister LaGrange is not a part of that committee. I believe there's 2 committees, and they're going to advocate for her to be on those committees. This affects schools in a big way, and she should really be there. So, and again, that's something that we can advocate to our own MLAs. So it was a surprise to all of us that she wasn't on that committee, or 2 committees. There's 2 committees, I guess, but it is a COVID response committee. So you can kind of understand that some things might not have been as well consulted, I guess. There is going to be a process for requests for action. So because there has been so many requests for action or motions that are being made at the zone level for the ASBA provincial, they find that they need a process to manage all those requests. And it's because of the times that we're in, right? So some of the requests for action that are out there right now, I'll just go through them. So in Zone 6, they requested ASBA to connect with CSBA, so the Canadian School Board Association, to help with unaccounted student counts. So I don't know the discussion on that or how that came about, but anyhow, that's kind of across the country, right? Zone 2, 3 are already. Yes, go ahead.
In my opinion, that's a ridiculous ask.
Yeah, that's huge.
Some parents have just made up their mind their kids are not going to school.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
They're not sending their kids to school, and they have a population like that. So how are you going to account for that? Or
yes, so I don't know the discussion around that, but that's something that came out of Zone 6. So Zone 2, 3 I already talked on, except there was one more item to address the shortage of subs. So just wondering if we're experiencing any substitute teacher or EA shortages that we should be.
Not at this time.
Not this time, we're doing good. Okay, good to know. And I think that was it. Trustee Tugwood, did you have anything to add?
No, that's everything that I think that we talked about.
Okay, and again, just that, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that PD day on February 8th, there's
Yeah.
no cost for that.
Okay, good. Yes, it'll be in regards to municipal elections. There'll be a video, roles and responsibilities. But again, we'll be relying on ASB and ACSTA
Right.
for election material.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's everything. Did anybody have any questions or comments?
Just a quick comment. I've just went through some of those respect in schools. Those are good information that ASB has sent out to look at.
Oh, the respect for schools.
Yeah,
Yes,
in
anybody
school.
can, it's only an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would encourage anybody to just go through that link that was sent.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. Okay, 5.9 ACSTA. Anything, Trustee Eflin? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, nothing new out there. And I sent the last executive summary, pretty much. That was, and then the survey that we're supposed to, and I'm sure Kim will run us through that, see what we got. Okay,
The GRACE survey.
yeah, the great survey.
Okay, yeah, that's 6.9. Okay. 6.1. I don't really have anything to add to that. So if nobody has any questions for me, we can go forward. Okay. 6.2. Charlie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll just highlight about 5 or 6 items. First, I'll mention that the local GRACE committee, which is strongly supported by the board chair, asked us if we could promote what we call a Share Your GRACE media campaign. So Caitlin has done a great job of in our social media channels, highlighting what schools are doing and individuals around Advent. And I will say that it's been well received by schools. I don't know if any of you have seen any of those posts, but I'll just point out that that is seeming to going all right. I want to give the board some feedback on the decision around the end of January day that you gifted to staff as a day to stay at home. I've received lots and lots of feedback on that, and many staff have expressed thanks for that and wanted me to pass on to the Board of Trustees their appreciation for acknowledging their work with this. So thank you to that decision. Number 4, we have submitted our annual education plan, our results report, to the province. We're meeting with them in January. So as part of our process, we always receive a letter from Alberta Education that we're in compliance. So I know that that meeting's happening in January, so I just am letting you know of that date. We've been selected. We have one school, St. Andre in Beaumont, that has been selected to participate in what's called the Progress in International Reading Literacy study. So it's a reading assessment. It takes about a morning from front to back. So St. Andre has agreed to do that. So we will, as a division, be participating in that international reading study. And it's grade 4, by the way. In number 5, I want to point out that we had our director, Chris Pirro, attend the CIVA training. She's now able to be a trainer. And that is the program where we always try to de-escalate situations and try to bring some calm to students who are not regulating and are out of control. That's an important part of the work we do as a division with our teachers, with our EAs that work with those students that have trouble regulating. So I just want to mention that that work continues in the division and that we are training staff every year in that. I'm not sure if Ed had this as one of his items, but I'll mention it anyways, that the province has asked for enrollment numbers, our predicted enrollment numbers for January and early January, which is proving to be a bit challenging. We're having administrators tell us that that's really hard to do because of the kind of current state of things, the amount of students that are not with us right now that may not be at school at all. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out as part of our spring budget. But it is something that we're working through with administrators. We'll be meeting with them in the first week back on the 6th and 7th of January to help try to determine what those numbers will be. But that is kind of some work that needs to be done, but is challenging to us. So definitely we've expressed that to the ministry and they understand, but they know that we've got to start somewhere. So they're asking for those numbers, but that is proving to be a challenge. Those are the items that I was going to highlight. As always, I'm open to any questions.
Trustee Tugwood?
I'm just curious what SIVA stands for.
Lori, help me out here.
Student something?
Laurie's muted or frozen.
Yeah, no, it took me a second. So supporting individuals through valued attachments.
Okay, so an attachment program supporting individuals through valued attachment.
Varied.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, quick question, Mr. Bouchard. Like I said, how much time are we spending on contact tracing? Can you give a ballpark?
We
5,
spend
10
a lot
hours?
of time on that.
That's what I thought.
We have a case. The administration and I are in communications. The schools that have done or had positive cases in the past, they're getting better at the process, but it's between a 3 and 5 hour process for that school administration because we are the ones doing all the contact tracing. So as the board chair said, and it's not just metros, we are the contact tracers for schools right now.
Yeah.
We are not hearing from Alberta Health Services in many of these situations. So we send the kids, they're back in school and we still haven't heard from Alberta Health.
Mm-hmm.
So in those situations, we've contacted all the families, we've let them know that they're close contacts, and then we isolate them for 14 days. The one situation that we did hear back from Alberta Health Services about 2 weeks ago, the kids had been back for 4 days. So, we're already way past the window where they're infectious. So it has been a lot of time. We've we're at about 17 cases now as a division. The one school having 4 cases. So it's been a lot of work for that school administration.
Okay. Madam Chair, then would that be of value, just like we've talked about, probably send a letter to the health minister, including to advocate if the education minister could be at that table and if that process could be really looked at, right? Because that's contact tracing is the most valuable instrument we have to slow this down, right? And if it's not coming out as soon as possible to schools, which already are doing a lot of the heavy lifting to contact families, and we're not receiving those information timely, then we have a situation, or we may have a situation that probably, will get more infection than it has been.
Right. Sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
Just in response to that, I don't think that it's an issue with us.
No, no.
We have heard from the province that they're trying to hire more contact tracers. You heard from Chair Lemaire that, you know, it is on the minister's radar. We are finding out from parents within hours that their child is tested positive. We put into action our contact tracing and isolate those students. Oftentimes, they don't even get on the bus at the end of the day. So we are on it fast, way faster than somebody from AHS could be.
Yeah.
So we are preventing infections at our level. So
that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. When they do contact a parent and the parent say, hey, here, and my child is at this school, right? It's just hanging up that phone to say, with your permission, we have to let them know, right? And then quickly, so within half a minute of telling the parent the school is aware, and then quickly do what we have to do, because already, like you said, we are supporting the process. We are doing everything that we can to keep everybody safe, right? But if they are not doing that on the quick turnaround, as they tell the parents to tell us, then that gap is becoming an issue. Should you have a parent, right, unknowingly, maybe forgot, right, have something come up and didn't announce to us on a timely basis, then what do we do, right? So there's so many different areas, things that are happening that we need to cover. So that's why I'm thinking if we can move quickly, and again, it's been in the news, schools are doing 50, 60 hours of contact tracing for AHS. They are going to be hiring more, but until then, guess what? We are doing the work. So let's get information and quickly isolate and protect our communities.
So Charlie, I'm hearing that you're thinking like when the tracing happens at the school, it's a lot quicker. We don't have time to wait for AHS.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't have time to wait.
No, we don't.
So early on, when we had our first cases, Alberta Health would contact us, and then we would provide them with a list of students, and then they email those parents. That doesn't happen fast enough unless we do it. We can't have those kids come to school the next day before AHS contacts them. So we've become the contact tracers. We're doing that work. I don't know that there's a solution. I think what we're doing is far better than what we're going to have from a provincial level by having a contact tracer do that work.
Charlie,
No,
is there any?
Sorry, go ahead,
no,
Trustee Tugwood.
I'm just curious, are any EAs or teachers or anyone being pulled from classrooms to do any of this contact tracing, or is it all administrative?
It's usually the administrator, and when I say that, it's principal, vice principal, the office assistant, the admin assistant, and the classroom teacher are usually involved.
Oh.
Trustee Afwan, did you have another comment?
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Bouchard. Folks are doing a wonderful job down there. What I'm saying is that timely receiving of that information, right? That if AHS should call and say, hey, you tested positive, right? The turnaround quickly to say what school, which school, and then provide us that information. We are on the roll to do that work for them already very much. And all I'm saying is, yeah, won't change much, but the timely receiving of that information is the key there. That should they be able to do that instead of waiting 2-3 days.
So it's almost like like compensation for the work that we're doing of AHS would be.
Quite honestly, our administrators have just kind of accepted that this is a pandemic. We're going to do whatever it takes to keep people safe.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And we get on the phone as soon as we find out. And it's just accepted that that's what we're going to do.
Right. Which is a very huge thank you to administration and school leaderships. Yeah, huge thank you to them, right? This is the only way to support to keep. So you are already doing that wonderful job, but I'm saying the information that need to be readily available passed on quickly as it can be, and that is the missing link that we are not getting, we are not being successful at, right? So Madam Chair, I think, yeah, we should do something and write up that quickly as we can and send it to them.
So Trustee Efron, like it has been a regular conversation with Minister LaGrange, and they did have conversation with Minister Shandro as well, like all around these items. And like, I think they definitely, like government definitely is hearing that it's a problem, but so I'm not sure that a letter is going to help. But I think when we get to our MLA conversation that we're going to come to, these are the things that even at this level, we have to reiterate, right? So I think the provincial body is really pushing on these items. And so anyhow, when we get to our MLA conversation item, can we revisit it there? Trustee Efron? Sorry, I can't.
Yeah, we can do that. We can. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. But like I said, if you think there's enough information going out to the legislature that this is what is being preferred or needed on the ground, because all we are doing is trying to receive that information on a timely fashion to make sure that, you know, school leadership is contacting, we are supporting our communities and slowing this virus down. So if you think
our schools have been doing excellent. Yeah, excellent. Then, you know, we haven't ended up on, we're not on any watch lists or, so thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And Michelle?
Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, with over 10,000 a week new cases, it's impossible for AHS to keep up. I have a few friends that are in training right now to do contact tracing, so we have to do it. But I agree, we bring it up with the MLAs because maybe there should be some remuneration for that.
Yeah, maybe there's some compensation that should happen, you know, for schools. Okay, it sounded like the EA conference was very much appreciated and well attended. So thank you for that. Just wondering if we should have done a news release for our reports from last month. Had we done a news release in the past? I don't think we have, but I'm wondering if we should just add that as a communication item.
We could, if that's the wish of the board.
Yeah. I mean, now we're going to be into this new cycle, and we usually do a news release for budgeting, and we could start for our education plan and our results reporting. I think that's a good, you know, communication to our public and to our stakeholders. So I just wonder if how we do that, or do we get it on? Is it on our work plan, or is it on Caitlin's?
Yeah, I definitely think that a news release on our results is appropriate.
Yeah.
The education plan, if it's the will of the board, I would suggest that wait until May, till we're kind of in the normal cycle.
In the cycle, yeah.
And then kind of we can highlight different things at different times. But this was an anomaly, this education plan being done in November. So
yeah.
The results report, absolutely, we can put something together, send it to our media partners.
Okay, should that go even now, or?
Yeah, we'll work on that for sure.
Okay, sounds good. And then I just was wondering how Power School's going, if it's improving.
Lori, update on Power School?
Yeah, for sure. So just as of yesterday, we have actually closed the portion of Power School for the student information system. So we've completely implemented the SIS. So that's done. We are now moving on in the new year to the enrollment portion of Power School. So we will be able to, hopefully by the end of March, be able to do enrollments online. So that'll be our next project. It's not as big as implementing SIS, We are providing professional development, particularly for administrative assistants. They are needing to know how to do object reporting and other sort of specifics with PowerSchool. So it's been good in the sense that we've been able to provide the supports that they need and continue to support them as they journey through this. So it's finally going well. It was a bit of an, it was just tough to get started because it was such a quick beginning. But now we're on a roll. We're moving forward, and people are really happy with it right now, from what I'm hearing. Now that we've worked out some of the wrinkles.
Right. Okay. Great. Good to hear. Thank you. Okay, that's all I had. Any other comments or questions for Charlie? Okay, thank you very much, Charlie. 6.3 for Edward.
There we go. Thank you, Madam Chair. I regret that I didn't realize I had submitted the November report. I'm not sure if anybody else noticed. That was my test for the month of December. But if you will permit, I
actually was wondering. I thought it doesn't seem to jive.
if you'll permit me, I'll screen share with my December report, and I've submitted it to our recording secretary to have posted later after today's meeting.
Yeah, or I just thought that maybe it was such a short window, from our last meeting that not too much had changed.
Well, you should see a report that says December 16th now.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm not going to highlight a few things because most of my work is coming up in with regards to other reports. As the superintendent has mentioned, we've issued a request for enrollment projections to schools. The province is looking to have those remitted to them on January 8th. So we've kind of had 2 weeks before most of our schools close on the 18th to put that together for information from our schools. The first week of January, we'll set up one-on-one meetings with each of the schools administratively to review their projections. We want to make sure that we're realistic because too much either way is not good for us. If we overproject, then we are going to have a problem with having to remit funding back to the province. If we underproject, then we're not going to have enough resources for the students that we have. So we want to make sure that we have a reasonable process in place and that the assumptions the schools are using would be consistent and supportive administratively as we're moving it through the budgeting process. One of the things that is in the works with regards to facilities is, and maybe I'm not sure if all the board is aware of it, but the town of Drayton Valley has ceased operations of their Rotary Library located in Holy Trinity Academy. And they've approached us with what the next steps might look like. The Finance Committee will be looking at the options that the town of Drayton Valley is considering, and then we'll be reporting after they've met back to the board on that. But I know press releases went out into the community and through the newspaper that they'll be shutting that down. And that was not part of the pandemic response. I think that's part of an economic response for the town itself. And then as far as, again, highlighting the election activities, we're ramping up. And I've started reaching out to contacts at our municipal partners to make sure my contact list is accurate, see what processes they are putting in place to make sure that we have, where possible, an alignment. Especially in terms of receiving nominations, if they're pre-deciding on how they're doing their voting, their polling stations and those type of things, and the impact that we have. And if there's anything that's required of the board to make sure that that alignment is possible so that we're not having to run two systems with regards to election. And that's about all I have with regards to my report.
Are there any questions or comments? I was just curious about the Drayton Valley Library. So that is in the works with Finance Committee for, when would that next meeting be with Finance?
January 13th, I believe.
January 3rd, so before the next board meeting.
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the Finance Committee meetings are deliberately set so that they are in advance of a board meeting.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Good, thank you very much. Okay, 6.4, this is gonna be really exciting. We're gonna get a look at Father Lacombe.
All right, can everybody see my screen all right? So
Yeah, it looks good.
let me begin by just kind of stating the fact that this is a replacement school. Originally scheduled to be a modernization, it's now a full replacement. So a review of the timeline, as you see before you. So the project went out for tender December 3rd, and we were supposed to have some pre-bid meetings on site, but because of the new restrictions, those had to be canceled. So I'm not exactly sure where that will put the tender process. There may be a delay in that. But the idea was to have the project awarded in January. February 16th is the groundbreaking ceremony with the Archbishop. He is booked and that's confirmed. March 1 is where the contractor would begin the process by setting up the site. The school will be built in 3 phases. So phase 1 is 12 instructional spaces, and that is to happen between April of 21 and September of 22. Phase 2 is another 10 instructional spaces, and the remaining ones for that matter. That would be between July 2022 and March of 2023. And then phase 3 is the demolition of the existing school, finishing the grounds, etc. And that would be completed by October of 2023. So that is kind of the timeline, again, just as a recap of what's happening. So this here is a picture of the site. What I'll point out on the left is the existing bus loop. Some of you may know where that is. So that's just to help you orient yourself with this map. I'll point out at the bottom, I don't know if you can see my mouse or cursor here, but we have a parent drop-off loop that is in the front of the building. So we're excited about that because currently there is nothing like that. Parents are using the street, which causes more congestion and more risk. So we have a parent loop. And also I'll just point out here at the back is we have a staff parking lot. Currently, staff have no place to park. They park at the rec center or in the parking lot across the road, across the bus loop. So what I'll kind of let you know is if you look at this building, this proposed building, it's at the front of the property. The current school is more towards the back of the property. So it's kind of swapping the layout a little bit. So here you kind of see a mock-up of the building. It is a 2-story school. So that's important. It's not a very big piece of land, as you know, so it had to be a 2-story to try to utilize and capitalize on the space. This is the parent drop-off loop that you see here at the front of the building. So it's just a little bit of a look. What will be a nice feature in the school is that there'll be a stained glass cross in the front of the school. Again, there's the parent drop-off, but I think that's going to be a very nice feature. It's going to stand out from the street and really draw attention to the fact that we are a Catholic school. So this is the first floor, and I'll just kind of highlight a few things. So the main vestibule is right here at the bottom, and that's kind of what you saw from the front. To the left here, this is the big stained glass that the cross is in. The Learning Commons is just when you come in, you're going to be a nice big gathering space, Learning Commons, library, and there'll be some stairs, presentation stairs going up on the left as well. Classrooms are pretty much the same throughout the school. We have a breakout room outside of pretty much every 2 classes. Kindergarten in the top left, which is a nice space that we highlight. They have their own cubbies, their own washroom in there. So it's a nice space. In the middle of the school, behind the Learning Commons, is a nice ancillary space that could be a room for music, as an example. At the back of the building is the community entrance. So when we have rentals of the facility, they'll park in that staff parking area at the back, come into the back, and they'll be able to access the gymnasium through that entrance. When you come in the main doors, to the right is reception, office admin are there, as well as principal, vice principal offices, corridor down to the staff room, workroom, and conference room. Now we're on the second floor now in this picture. What you see here is the stairs leading up. And this is kind of a seating area for junior high students right outside of another ancillary space. This wall between the two will be a removable wall. So that can actually be one big open area for gathering if we choose to do that. We have CTS spaces in the southwest corner of the school, the bottom left corner. More classes. We have an information services, that's what the government calls it. And then way on the right-hand side here is a science lab. So that is kind of the second story of the school. What's neat about the second story is a lot of these common areas you'll be able to see down into the Learning Commons and down the stairs, which we'll show you some mock-ups of that in a second. So here it is. This is kind of an artist's rendering of this school. Now on the left here, in front of this stained glass, this big glass wall, that's where we'll have an altar and prayer area. So it'll be prominently featured as soon as you enter the school. You know, classes could have class celebrations. They can be seated on the stairs, for example, facing the altar, the speaker, the priest, etc. The Learning Commons will be in the area, as you see there, where I've titled it. And those are the stairs going up to the second story. This is a look from the other way. So now we're on the second floor, looking down into the first floor. Again, you can see the parent drop-off loop in the front. To the left, this little glass that's reception as soon as you come in the main door. As an example, there'll be lots of color in the school. So you see here some feature walls of different colors, cubbies for students to put their stuff in. With elementary, we are using cubbies rather than lockers. And this is what a typical classroom will look like. They'll have sinks in them, some color again, technology will be featured. There'll be smart boards in the classrooms. It's just a little bit of an artist's rendering again of what a classroom space will look like. So that is it. You know, a little bit of an overview of what that school will look like. I hope that helps kind of paint a bit of a picture. Very exciting. Are there any
handsome on paper.
Looks
Yeah,
beautiful.
any comments?
It looks
Questions?
beautiful. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Wonderful for Lacombe and for
Lacombe.
Sound
Looks
like that.
handsome, not beautiful.
Yeah.
Don, it look handsome on paper.
Thank you very much. That's
Yeah,
very
that's-
exciting. For our invite list to the groundbreaking, do we have an invite list or?
We haven't formalized that yet. That's something we'll work on for sure.
Okay, so somebody from Lacombe, like usually the city of Lacombe, like counselor. I was thinking Talia would be.
I would anticipate we would have politicians at the various levels.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay, well, congratulations to Lacombe and all those families. It's really happening. Thank you. That's exciting. Very exciting. Okay, 6.5. And this is our annual insurance report.
Yes, this is the first annual, though. This was something that was added on to the board's calendar after the challenges of last year securing insurance, and certainly the costs and the resulting kind of us moving to a different broker and the windup of the ASB program. So we want to kind of give the board sort of a briefing in terms of what's happened with regards to premiums, as well as sort of with ASB kind of part of our heritage, a little bit of background with regards. I wouldn't say that the ASB might be an annual report. It might be annual for the next couple of years as things wind down with it. But just to kind of hit some highlights with the report itself. Overall, our insurance premiums from last year have decreased by about $175,000 or about 28%. We anticipated that our property would be significantly lower. That was one of the basis criteria when we moved to leave ASB and seeking other insurers for our program. One of the challenges, though, is our liability. The ASB program had a reciprocal for liability, which paid out smaller claims. And then if there was a larger claim, when we're talking multi-million-dollar claims, there was insurance to cover those. But the initial small claims, like for a slip or a fall, like I've seen one claim in my history where it was the total cost of it was $75,000, and what had happened is an individual slipped on some ice in front of the school and broke their upper arm. But in the grand scheme of things, $75,000 is a small claim, and that would have been paid out by the reciprocal. Now the division is on a fully insured through an insurance policy for small as well as large claims. And so I'll be working with the broker because we're seeing a significant increase over last year in terms of what that liability policy is. At about $81,000 over our previous costs. It's something that I'd like to know whether there is things that we can do to mitigate those insurance premiums, whether it's in policy, whether it's in action, but certainly going to be worthy of a discussion. And it might be also that this is our first year with this particular insurance company, and perhaps once we've got built some history and some experience with them, even though they have access to our data from prior years, those premiums might go down rather rapidly as long as we can make sure that we keep everybody as safe as we normally do in our past. Just for the board's information, I usually try and include what we've included for insurance values or approximate insured values for our buildings, just under $300 per square foot for all of our buildings. The one unique feature of our property policy is that the entirety of the policy would address a single issue. So our portfolio is over $200 million. If we had a claim on one school, we would have access to the full $200 million if we needed to, not just the value of that particular school as we've listed on the property, which is slightly different than what we had under the ASB program. I'm not saying that if we had a major issue that it wouldn't cost us in the end. I'm just saying it's a feature that we do have. It also helps mitigate, unforeseen costs that may happen as a result of a substantial loss. A school burns down, those type of items. Also in the report, I've included what's happening with the ASB program, as we're aware of. So the 3 reciprocals, the board has equity in those reciprocals. The reciprocal is self-insured, and any amounts that aren't paid out go back to the members who contributed those insurance premiums. And so there's 3 reciprocals: property, liability, and cyber risk. Each of those reciprocals have a certain time frame in which claims can be made against them. The cyber risk policy has 1 year sort of to make a claim. So ultimately, the last claim date that you can make a claim under cyber risk would be October 30th of 2021. After that point, whatever money is left in the fund, if there aren't any outstanding claims against it, could be returned back to the members. For property, it's 2 years. So we'd be looking at around October 31st, 2022, which would be the last date for a claim to be made under that policy, kind of if there was a loss on October 30th of 2020. And for liability, that which has the largest component, because it's the largest amount of losses kind of accumulating over time, it has an unusual kind of rollout period. Liability insurance, a claim has two essential deadlines. One is when the incident occurs, but because we're dealing with minors, if there's an injury to a minor, they can make a claim once they become age majority. So under the liability claim, they can make a claim 2 years after reaching the age of 18. So for liability policies, the roll-off period in terms of a claim being made could be 10, 14 years. And generally speaking, that's the one with the most amount of equity to be returned, but it's also the one where it takes the longest to ensure that there's no further claims against that fund before it can be released back to the members or the contributors of that fund. So, and I don't have a current equity statement from ASB yet of where all of those funds are. But in future years, I'd be looking to ask ASB for a copy of what our equity position is for each one of those reciprocals. Although I'm anticipating we'll see the cyber one return kind of next fall, because the roll-off period ended this fall already. It'll be ending next fall, I should say. Now, as part of the report, I do have a summary of sort of the insurance claims as well as any litigation over the past year. But because of the nature of that and possibly the nature of any questions, I'm requesting to review that as an in-committee, in-camera item. So if we want to move on to that report, or if we want to take questions on this aspect before we move in camera, if the board wills, at that point.
Sure. Does anybody have any questions so
Just have
far?
a quick question, and then I'll move.
Sure. Go ahead,
I'll move
Trustee
into
Eflin.
in camera. Mr. Latka, so when are you anticipating they send us that overview of our insurance equity from ASB, from the various criteria? Because it's been a year now. You might think at their last board meeting they should have.
Yeah, at their last board meeting, it wasn't presented to the board members, and although I'm sure it's available, it probably hasn't been compiled as ASB readjusts for the resources they have available to it. They are no longer using LloydSat as a broker who did a number of clerical tracking. In terms of the equity, that was done in-house with the staff, the contractor that looks after the ASB program through the principal attorney. So I can request that. I just hadn't requested it at this point in time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and I just had.
Chair, sorry, go ahead.
I just have one question. So, did we realize the savings that we thought we were going to realize?
On the property insurance, yes.
But not in everything, obviously.
Not in everything. The liability insurance came in quite a bit higher. And so I'll talk to the broker about that and see what sort of things that we can mitigate. I mean, the default position typically I'll get is that it's a market issue. Well, I need to know more information, because if it's a market, what do we have access to, and how do we move that forward? Right.
Great. I appreciate the work on that for sure.
And I guess I would like to make one additional comment, because it is kind of a matter of public record. The ARMIC group of boards that have had the alternative insurance program that we looked at. They had an 11th hour infusion for their reciprocal on property to help support boards that were challenged with getting property insurance that was affecting them. So my understanding, and it was done as a order in council, that group received $15 million to cover their reciprocal in support from the provincial government, which certainly changed the parameters, of course, of which they are operating in, as well as the work that the ASB board was attempting to do. So I just want to
because they
sure.
didn't have a reciprocal. They were going to build towards that, and that was one of the. I mean, we were making a decision based on that as well.
Yeah. So it's a change in where they went, and a change in how the government was certainly viewing them. But I think it was under significant pressure because school boards weren't going to be insured if a reciprocal wasn't in place.
Right.
So again, I might be talking to them at some point just to kind of see. They also had terms and conditions for a 3-year lock-in period, and see what our options are. But I'm supportive of the change the board made and working with our current broker on our insurance premiums based on our losses.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. That's a lot of work to negotiate through. So we will move in camera for the next portion, and it will be senior admin only, please. So could I have a motion to move in camera? Senior admin to stay only. Trustee Efron?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I make that motion. That is only with senior admin here.
Okay.
Moving to in camera.
All those in favor?